What's up, everybody? This is your boy, the E-bikeguy, and today we're going to be doing a little tech talk, you know what I mean? Like, not TikTok, but like, technical talks, about certain things that, need to be explained a little further in detail. Well, you know, yesterday, as about time this video be released, yesterday I made a video, uploaded a video about the right hand Sequoia that I previously did a review on. Well, not too long ago, I did a review on it. And the bike was working fine. Well, recently I sold it to a customer, and the bike stopped. It was no go. He was riding it, and then all of a sudden just completely stopped. Now it had still display was working. It still showed miles an hour, all the stuff. Like it was normal, but when you hit the throttle, it was a no go. Now, instead of just troubleshooting, all the components like the throttle and the brakes, make sure the brakes wasn't had it locked in and anything like that. But if it did, it would show some sort of an error code, like what was going on with it. But anyways, okay, what I'm going to be talking to you about is it's a comment that was on that video, and that was made that one guy was questioning about the concerns about the quality of the controller, and when I release the throttle, the miles an hour come to zero. And yes, some controllers do that. Even the 4-driver controller that we installed on the Bentley Secret 24 for my wife, it did the same thing too. When it comes to a complete stop, or when you release the throttle and the motor stops, it reads zero, even though the bike is still moving forward. Now I don't know. Maybe some of y'all can chime in on what was going on with that. But I know E-bike builder, he's a fellow YouTuber as well. He might can fill me in too what was going on with that. But he also said that none of his e-bikes didn't do that. And I'm thinking that he's referring to maybe a stock e-bike that's using stock components and not aftermarket ones. Because yes, every controller that I replaced on those gear hub motors, they when you release the throttle and the motor stops, it just goes to zero. Even the 4-driver 7235 that I recently installed on the Bentley Secret 24, but we took that off, and now we have a much powerful controller. But I'm gonna show you something. I know these motors. So this is a motor. This is a direct drive motor. This is a 3500 watt. I'm gonna call this the mini rocket because this is going on a very small e-bike, like the ones I reviewed. I think what was that? Win One. It was a Win One e-bike. They had the funny shock in the middle of the frame where it folds up and everything. But it's just a direct drive motor, hub motor that I'm actually putting on a person's e-bike. And so it's 3500 watts. And here is a geared hub motor. So this is a geared hub motor. This is something off of Super 73 that I acquired from my friend Maurice at MO3 POV. I have yet to figure out where I'm going to do with this hub motor, but this is a gear hub motor. Now, the difference between the gear hub motor and direct drive hub motor is that the gear hub motor, they have planetary gears in it. So it has gears in like a gear reduction, to be honest. Like most like you see in a airplane, I could say transmission or gearbox. Anyways, so they all the same, but just that one difference the other from geared and being a direct drive. But the gear hub motors, most companies use those motors for they can put small amount of amps in those motors and they still perform pretty good as far as hill climbing goes. You typically see around about 20 to 28 amps. Most of the high power gear hub motors, they upwards about 30, 35, 40 amps at most. But the direct drive motor, it suffers a little bit, especially if you compare a 750 watt gear hub motor to a 750 watt direct drive motor, is that the gear hub motor is going to perform way better than a direct drive because of the fact that the gear hub motor has, the gears. That's going to help produce torque. So, what the viewer on my YouTube channel was chiming about or commenting about is that when I released the throttle, that it went to zero, even though when I was moving. And yes, I had to go test that theory because he said that none of his e-bike does it. So I went out there and checked out the King Bull Discover. And I didn't notice that. But no, I'm saying these are people that actually observes almost everything and try to just any detail that's off a little bit, they're gonna comment, and and me being a YouTuber, man, that happens every single time I upload. Not only me, but every YouTuber uploads videos. You got those viewers outside that just want to be a technician, you know what I'm saying, or and try to you know, chime in on a comment, you know what I'm saying, and try to correct you or do a constructive criticism, which is not a bad thing, you know, because then that makes you think, go back and think, okay, well, what if this person is right, you know what I'm saying, what if I need to address that problem? But what I'm saying is that when I release that throttle, it reads zero because I think what's happening is that the controller is reading the speed from from the Hall sensors, and not through a certain means of what the stock e-bike controllers can do. You know what I mean? That's the only way I can see it. Because this happened, like I say, this happened on a far driver controller. This also happened on other few controllers that I hooked up on the from Amazon or AliExpress on the e-bike. But it still reads when you hit the throttle and that clutch engages. It still reads. So my theory is that when I release the throttle, the motor stops, but the clutch is disengaged. The motor is stationary, but the hub motor is still turning, and that's why you see the 0 miles an hour on a display. Now, reading from stock controllers, like say for instance a King Bull Discover, when you release a throttle and the wheel's still spinning and it's still, you can still see the speed on the display. Now that is something that I have yet to figure out how that's doing. You know what I mean? Because like I say, I'm new to this, you know what I mean, especially when it comes to stock components, you know what I'm saying? Now, aftermarket components, you know what I'm saying, I'm pretty much familiar with it. I'm no rocket scientist and I'm not trying to be. I'm just saying that from my experience, you know, what I experienced, you know what I mean? But yeah, but that's that's the difference between a gear hub motor and a direct drive hub motor. But once you start going into a lot of power, like I'm doing, then that's when things starts to spread. The gap starts to get wider between the two. We tried that with E-bike's bike. We try to put power to it, and the weakest points is going to be the gear set or the keyway, because see, once you that gear set has a keyway that goes in a shaft, and especially if you try to run regen. When you try to run regen, that shaft is moving back and forth, and what it's doing is damaging that keyway that's on that axle. And we almost to the point where it completely sheared off. Now this didn't happen to E-bike's bike. It happened to the Secret 24 that my wife was riding, because it was turned up a lot, but it was turned up enough to slow the bike down. When it happened to when you hit the brakes, it come to a complete stop. No, it wasn't like that. It gradually slowed down, but when time progresses, what happened was that axle was just turning it. Boom! It was knocking back and forth, and what it was doing is it was trying to shear their key off, and we didn't notice that until we actually put the QS205 on there, and we happened to take that axle out, and we noticed that the keyway was damn near sheared off. So can't put too much power in those gear hub motors. That's because there's some weak links, and then they're not meant to run at high speeds, because that motor is turning so fast and it's reducing that gear reduction in there, and you can't really go really fast on those gear hub motors. Now there is some you can, but I'm just talking about the ones that I've been dealt with. Okay, so. I know there's a lot of hub motors out there that can probably, gear hub motors that probably can reach higher speeds, but anyways, so that's what I'm thinking, that what's going on is why you ain't seeing this, just seeing 0 miles an hour on the display, why the bike is still moving. It's just because of I guess it's reading the whole sensor base, or it's reading the position of the motor, and the motor's not moving. So it's not picking up any movement from that motor, and that's why you're seeing that 0 miles an hour. I could be wrong. Correct me if I'm wrong. Like I say, I know E-bike Builder. He's a fellow YouTuber, and That's all he does is gear hub motors. You know what I mean? So he might can, if he see the video, he might can explain a little bit more in depth on what's going on with that scenario. That's what I wanted to actually explain to you about. Technical talks about these gear hub motors and direct drive hub motors. Like I say, direct drive hub motors, there's no gears in it. It's just one ratio, and it's gonna go. You can reach a lot more higher speeds with the gear hub with the direct drive hub motor, as long as you put voltage, not current, but voltage. And you put enough voltage in it, like so. If you go from 48 volts to 52 volts, from 52 volts to 60 volts, you're gonna see increase in speed just on that. Even though you still at 45 amps, so if you're running 45 amp controller, so if you got a say like you got a Sabaton 7245, and you start off at 48 volts, and like you're hitting like 20, 25, 20 miles an hour. I think on a direct drive you probably go a little bit faster than that. I would say about at least about 35, and you just swap out to go straight from 48 to 72, but you're keeping that 45. Then you're going to see off rip increase in speed and maybe increase in performance too, because higher voltage too, carries that current pretty good. It's like, I'll say like higher voltage, like slick 50. You have that current flowing through that pipe, but we're not talking about how big the pipe is. That just that's big of how you'll gauge a wire. But we're talking about that voltage. You're running 40 volts, but you're running hell of a lot of current, like 45 amps, and it's going through that pipe, but there's no lubrication, and because of the less voltage, so that way you're going to get slower speeds, and then you up your voltage from that to 72. Now you're putting a lot more oil, so it means more voltage can flow, and that means that current is going to carry along with that voltage, and it's going to produce a lot more flow, and it's going to just make your bike go faster, and you're going to see performance off rip, just from switching voltage like that, but more current, that's going to produce a lot more heat on your motor and controller. So that's the only reason why I'm switching to a higher voltage anyways. And there's some people saying that I might have cheating because I might be running higher voltage than I originally was, but sure you're not. When I do my battery review sometime soon, I will have both batteries here, and I will have my 72-volt battery. I do have a active balance in it, and I will show y'all that it's a 20S system, 20S20P, and then I will show you the active balance on my new battery. And show you the difference between the two voltage. So yeah, so I'm gonna have an increase in performance as on my e-bike, but I'm not gonna be running that type of power. There's no way in the world I'll be able to put that kind of power down on the ground, just because of the way my bike is short wheelbase. It's not long. It doesn't have wheelie bar or anything like that. And I didn't build it to race. I just built it to be more efficient. That's what I want to do. Be more efficient, because I'm more of a range guy than anything else. Maybe one day I might do a top speed on. I might do a top speed on the 72 before I go and switch up to my new higher voltage battery. But anyway, so that's what I wanted to explain to you about these good hub motors and that theory, that the comment that was left on my video, and I wanted to test it out myself. And sure enough, yes, when the motor stopped spinning, or when I released the throttle on the Kingbo Discover, and the wheel was still spinning, and yes, I still see my miles an hour, which is nice. It's awesome, to see that, because on the aftermarket controllers, I wasn't able to see that. Even on the Sabaton controller, or the aftermarket controls I get from Amazon, or the forward driver controller as well, I couldn't see that until I get on the throttle again, and then I see my speed though. But I don't know if it's a deal breaker when you can't see your speed when you let off the throttle on a gear hub motor. I don't know. Let me know down in the comments what y'all think. And I will be releasing this video tonight, so that way I can get some engagement from y'all, so y'all can comment and tell me. And even the person that actually comment on that video, I hope he sees this video and he can comment and tell me what I think. Because I'd rather just say it to y'all on video than to be going back and forth with the texting. Because I don't like texting, dude. How many of y'all like texting? I know I know my wife, she texts a lot. They don't be on Facebook Marketplace. I mean, not Marketplace. I'd be on Facebook Marketplace because I'd be looking for, I've been looking for RC cars. I'm looking for parts for my car. I'm looking for a different ATV. I'm looking for an e-bike that's somebody that's not wanting. Maybe I can use that to modify to a different e-bike. I'll be on Marketplace. That's the only reason I got Facebook for. And then I have my group called the e-bike neighborhood. But I got my boy Nate. He's taking over for that right now. You know what I'm saying? Because I'm busy building batteries. You know what I'm saying? So this is half a pack. This is one side right here. Then I'm gonna be putting these together. So I'm gonna be matching these up, putting these together, and it's gonna produce a pretty good amps. 72-volt pack right here. I got 2 of these to build. So this is one pack. I got another pack, and then I got another tummy bike, OG bike that I'm building for a customer. But yeah, that's I hope. I just don't want to build a Frankenstein. Well, not a Frankenstein powerhouse that nobody can handle. You know what I mean? Because I want to make sure everybody can handle these bikes, man. You know, I don't want nobody to get hurt on these. Anyway, so that is it. That was enough about tech talks today on this on my video about the gear hub motors and the brake drive hub motors. I didn't want to be too long in this video, but anyways, so I got to get to work. You know what I'm saying? Almost about to be yeah. It's actually I'm off work right now. You know what I mean? So I can relax and everything. But all right though. I will. Oh yeah, let me know if y'all want to hear more, you know, the technical talks about, you know what I'm saying, at least what I know, not what I'm trying to know, because I don't want to steer nobody wrong in any ways, you know, and I don't want to blah, 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 and I don't know what the heck I'm talking about, okay? So, anyways, so just let me know if y'all want to see some more of those, and comment down below about these gear hub motors and the direct hub motors, you know what I'm saying, and have y'all experience something like that too when y'all replace a controller off your stock e-bike, okay? So, all right, so I'm going to get up out of here. This is E-bike guy, and I'll see y'all next one. Peace.